Hey guys, welcome to Task. Holy crap, that's loud. Tonight we have two of our senior students speaking. It's Ethan and Kevin. Kevin, he's going to be the first one. I remember Kevin was mostly my leader, the crew lead when I was out on the moves when I was an intern. You know, he showed me a lot. He's been around. He's been a leader in the house. You know, so he's got a lot of experience, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say with his story. So if you guys want to give him a welcome.
So guys, wow, that's loud. So where do I start? So I'm from Provo. I was born in Provo, born and raised in Orem, 51 years old. So I don't know. I guess I'll just start from the beginning. Like I went to junior highs when I first started falling off, getting mixed up with some substance abuse at an early age, 7th grade. I had an older brother that I really looked up to, him and all his friends. You know what I mean? They were like 4 or 5 years older than me. So I kind of followed them, you know what I mean? But it kind of took me down the wrong path, at an early age. So all through junior high, all through high school, I never did very well in school. I didn't even really go, so all I really cared about was hanging out with my buddies and just substance abuse of some kind. You know what I mean? When I was 18, I finally dropped out of school, out of high school, and I went and got a job. I worked at Whitewater. It's in Linden. I worked there for the next 15 years. I was the manager of their custom setup department. We did countertops like those back there. We did shower enclosures, vanities, anything to have to do with like your bathroom at your house or your kitchen, countertops. That's what we did. I was there for 15 years. This is like, I finally quit like in probably 2004, 2005, I was making almost $50,000 a year. So that's pretty good money back then. But anyway, I was probably headed to prison a long time ago in my early age, but I met my future wife at the time, and we ended up having some kids, which totally changed my life. I ended up getting married, and I settled down. I got rid of all my friends. It's kind of true. Like when you get rid of your environment, kind of dictates who you are. Because once I got rid of my friends, I quit getting in trouble. I got married. We had 3 kids, and for the next 10 years, I had a house. I had where Microsoft is in Lehigh, up there on the hill. I had a house just like a half mile down the street from it, and it's up on the hill. Nice house. And I had a boat. I had a truck, car, 4-wheelers, motorcycles, and life was good. But I guess through my marriage, I was still kind of, drinking a little bit, and I don't think, my wife ended up leaving like after 10 years, and after that, I spiraled out of control. Like I really didn't care. I ended up quit my job because I couldn't wake up. I couldn't show up anymore because of, you guys know what I was doing. I was just staying up all night, not being able to function. So, that was probably, well, let me back up a little bit. Like when I got a divorce, I lost both my parents that year. Then I lost my wife. So it was like, all of a sudden I had everything. Then I didn't have anything, and if I sit here and think about it, I'm kind of ashamed of myself because I played the poor me card. I felt the victim stand, you know what I mean? I felt like I was a victim and I deserve all this. And, I'm really kind of ashamed of it, like how I just handled it, like divorce. But ever since then, it was just like, after I quit my job, I started getting substance abuse or whatever, like a lot harder. Like I I started going to the bars and stuff, and I met new friends. And you know what I mean? They just brought along the new harder drugs. See, like, um, but yeah, I was like, I got involved with that for the next year or two. Then I ended up in jail for the first time, and I got out and I stayed sober for a while. Then I went to I went to Volk Rehab, and I've got I don't know if you guys ever heard of Volk Rehab, but they'll get you into school and like help you get an education. And anyway, they sent me to the College of Eastern Utah. I went up there, got my CDL, and I started driving a truck for the next uh, couple of years. But like driving a truck, you spend a lot of time by yourself, you know what I mean? And I was working a lot of hours, and I think I just got bored or something. Then I went right back into substance abuse. And I mean, that was probably 2006, 2007. And ever since then, I was just full throttle out there. I mean, I didn't care about anything. I was selfish. I quit going to see pick up my kids, because I didn't have a home to bring them to anymore. I go see them at their mom's house, but it was far and in between. I fell off. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, the last 10 years, probably the last 12, 13 years, I've been in and out of jail so many times. I've been to the point, whatever, too, and just nothing was going right for me. I'd get out, I'd do a 30-day program. I did a 90-day program, and, just right out the gate, the first week, I was right back into it, just hanging out with the same friends, doing the same things. So, I mean, just not doing anything with my life. Like the last 10 years, I've only had a couple of jobs, you know what I mean? Like basically because I was forced to, like work, what do they call it, temporary workplaces, but then I would just go right back into my addiction and lived off the street, just lived off whatever. But yeah, I was like, just going nowhere. And this last time I got picked up or whatever, I was like, I was looking at a lot of time. When I first came here, I was just trying to escape a prison sentence. But my past is just with my past. One thing I try not to dwell on it too much because I can't change anything, and it's kind of makes me depressed or whatever when I think about it. So I'm just gonna kind of move into like the last couple of years of my life, which has been, it's been here. I've been here almost 20 months. I'm a week away from 20 months. So, and 3 months before that, I was, in the county. So the last 2 years, I've been sober, and I've been able to think clearly. If I wasn't got picked up or whatever, I probably would have. I think my health was going down, you know what I mean, a lot because I didn't have energy for a lot of things, and I could really feel it, I probably would have been in a good place if I would have ended up here. If I would have, I probably would have ended up killing myself or something. But I remember when I first wrote the letter here. And I was scared. I didn't think they was gonna let me come. I was thinking, I blew it. I'm not gonna be able to make it. I'm gonna spend the next 3 or 4 or 5 years up there at the point, whatever. And I remember Kevin Real came and interviewed me, and he's Kevin Real. He said the same thing he probably said to all you guys, with whoever if you guys know. Kind of hard on me, but he said if he's going to accept me, he sent me a letter. But I was still like, I don't know if he was just saying that, so I was still kind of scared that he just said that and he wasn't going to accept me. But then I got my letter of acceptance. I was like, okay, cool. But then I had to wait for the courts to approve it. So like that 3 months, I was just stressing that I wasn't going to be able to come here. I didn't think the judge was going to let me. I had picked up some new charges, and it looked like I had blown my chance to come here. But Thankfully, the the judge, you know, like, you know what, we're going to send you there, and if you don't make it, you're going straight to prison. So, um, but like, so I just want to kind of talk more about here at the Red Barn more than the past. Like, I remember when I got here, it was like in the middle of January. I got here January 19th. It was like just really cold outside, and there's uh, really not a lot going on here at the barn. You know what I mean? Whether you're just praying for it to snow, so you can go out there and shovel the snow. Because either you're working in here or the kitchen. It was hard when I first got here. It was really hard. I mean, in my head, nobody wanted to leave more than I did. But I just stuck it out. I mean, I knew I had to be here. Um, After 30 days, they put me on the moving crew, which was cool. You know what I mean? I started getting off the farm, and things got a little bit easier. I wasn't, here on the farm. It's kind of funny because like as an intern, I was up to like 195 pounds. I gained some weight, and I remember my first move. I went out with Mario, and the first box run, I was done in like 5 minutes. 10 minutes is just like one flight of stairs. So I mean, the moving crew was pretty cool. I didn't really know how important it was to me until I wasn't on it anymore. But like I sit here and I think about I was on the moving crew for like 14, 15 months, as a full-time mover. And I look around here and I've been on a lot of moves with some of you guys. I can remember a lot of things about all of you. It changed my life. When I share with the customers, I always like to tell them that I've never been on a part of a team quite like anything like Red Barn, and I don't think I'll ever be on a team like ever again, or I don't think any of us will be on another team like you are here, especially when you go out on these crews out in our enterprises. Is how we show up. None of us get paid to do it. Sometimes things suck, and if things are heavy, you're out late, and but I sit here and I think about it, and it's one of the best things that I've ever did in my life. You know what I mean? For the last 12, 15 years, I haven't done anything. I haven't been consistent in anything other than just screwing up. So like Red Barn's like it's changed. It's changed me in a lot of ways. It's changed how I look at things. It's taught me how to stay present. It's like I remember, like the biggest thing for me is like acceptance. Like once I kind of accepted that I was here at Red Barn, I was about, I was probably almost done with my freshman stage, 5, 6, 7 months in. Things started to get a lot easier here. I was used to it. I quit thinking about the past, wasn't talking about the past, you know what I mean? And things got a lot easier here. And a lot of people say your resident phase is like one of the slowest parts of you know what I mean? But I think it flew by for me because I was just, I had a good routine, a good solid routine. Yeah, time went by pretty good. But Sticky Bird's been pretty cool. Like, I mean, we have fun all day long with Sticky Bird. I mean, we're constantly laughing, but I don't know. I've learned how to like have a good time being sober. I've learned how to laugh being sober, like because before, like I didn't have any substance abuse. So it was, I wasn't doing anything. But I've learned how to like cope with my problems, do it in a sober fashion. But yeah, let's see. Trying to think what else. One thing that really I just kind of realized like maybe a month and a half ago, is because you sit here and you think like we don't get paid to be here or whatever, but after I was in my SCM class where I kind of realized that all of a sudden I'm working on my resume to leave here, and the things that I've been able to put on my resume are pretty powerful things. I can put down that I was the crew lead on a 5-star multi-million-dollar moving company. That was a leader in a house of 50, 60 men, and it made me realize that I actually got I got paid to be here, you know what I mean? Because it's gonna help me get into like a good job when I leave here. I feel like, you know, I've set myself up for you know, like I don't have to go out there and just take like a 15, 16 hour job. I can go out there, you know what I mean, get like a decent paying job right out the gates just because I was here. You know what I mean? And like I've talked to like Jeffrey and John, and like they'll be my references, you know. So it made me realize, you know, I've accomplished quite a bit, you know, being here. And you know, like when you first get here and you're just you don't realize these things, you know. So just keep that in mind that you know, in the end, I think it will pay off, you know. And but let me see, I'm trying to think what else I got here from here. Um, like I got some college credits while I was here. Um, one thing I wanted to talk about is like the more you stay here, it's like it kind of it doesn't get easier, but it gets better. You know what I mean? One thing the Red Barn has done is kept me busy, like literally busy all day long. Like if I'm not at work doing something, I'm either doing education, I'm doing coverage, I'm doing in the clothing bay or just in a class. Like time's flown by, you know what I mean? You know, you sit here and you think about 2 years, that's a long time, you know, and it kind of is, but it actually does go by fairly quick, you know. And you know, once you get to like your senior resident phase, you know, it's kind of cool because there's quite a few perks to being a senior resident, you know. Um, this last couple of months, you know, I felt like I've earned a few things, you know, like, I don't know, just kind of got to go on this couple of trips. Um, I've been on several hikes here, you know, on the moving company. I've been all over the whole state of Utah, basically, you know, um, more than once, you know. I've been over all the way down that way, probably 10 times, and all the way that way, probably 10 times. So, I mean, you get around, it's pretty cool. Places I would never have seen, you know, never have been to. I've met a lot of families. People have come into Sticky Bird and like and ordered stuff, and they remember who I was. You know what I mean? And I don't even remember who they are, but they don't remember me. So you know, I've had an impact out there, which is cool. And you know, they used to show us some reviews on the moving crew or whatever that we did, and it was kind of cool to see our names on these reviews. But yeah, so I don't know. That's kind of who I am, how I've been here. But yeah, so you guys got any questions? Because I don't know what else to say. Go ahead.
What would you say that the biggest obstacle that you faced was?
My biggest obstacle was when I first got here, when I just to accept that I was here and that I wasn't going to be able to go anywhere. And like I said, just getting out of my own head, because I was my own worst enemy. You know what I mean? I would always think about stupid stuff that I couldn't change. But once I got out of that, that's when things got a lot easier here. I'm able to go out there, either if I'm at Sticky Bird or on a move, I can go out there and just have fun with the guys, you know. You know, I guess, you know, I think about it, and I'm kind of quiet here on the barn, but like out on these enterprises, you know, I've had a lot of fun, you know. Yeah, it's been pretty. Go ahead, Sean.
Of the many accomplishments that you've had here, what one are you most proud of yourself of?
So probably being a crew lead on the moving company, you know. It took me 12, 13 months before I became a crew lead. So it was cool when I did it. And I didn't really care at first. I didn't care. I was content in just being a mover, but you know, then you know, I just came up to Travis one day and I said, "Hey man, maybe I would like to be a crew lead," and you know, and a month later they let me, you know. So, and of course the SEM class too. Go ahead, Jerry.
Kevin, I got a question for you, and I just want to know, do you plan on staying connected with us brothers after you graduate?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So one thing right about that is I made a lot of friends here. You know, I knew a few people before I got here. You know, and I've made a lot of friends here. So if I'm probably going to end up at graduate housing, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm trying to get to that point. Go ahead, Toby.
What's the best advice that you would give all of us brothers here? Like for
Best advice. First of all, like when they tell you not to war story, talk about your past. I mean, that is huge. Because if you start talking about your past, you start war storying, glorifying things, next thing you know, you're gonna be missing it and you're gonna be thinking about it. And you're gonna be thinking, okay, this place sucks because this isn't what I want to be doing. Like just let go of it, because we all want to, go back or what to do, but just quit talking about it, quit thinking about it, stay present. Just accept that you're here and it'll change everything.
Go ahead, Russell.
So what are you gonna do different? So say that you get out of here, then just life hits or whatever it is, like you've done other treatments that, that didn't work out. So what's gonna set this place apart from that?
Good question. Probably just staying connected, I want to work on trying to get a career, not just a job. I want to work on just trying to get a career. I thought about trying to get into some classes with just like apply for some grants or whatever. With that SEM class that I took, there's a couple of job offers right now that I might be considering. That they're going to fast track you into management. So just going to try to focus on it like a career, Go ahead, Ruben.
Accepting the fact that you were here, what was it that allowed you to get out of your own way to?
Probably time. I mean, it takes, because it's not going to happen overnight. And I don't remember any particular day that it just all of a sudden clicked. I just started getting used to it. Being on the moving company was really helpful because when you're out on these moves, they're just big, a lot of big moves, and you're just busy. You know what I mean? You're just trying to concentrate on breathing. You know what I mean? Making up these stairs, and it was pretty easy for me to stay out of my head. You know what I mean? So yeah, being on the moves really helped me. So I mean,
Do you believe you still have an obstacle to overcome as you begin to transition back?
like right now, like making a plan. You know what I mean? I'm just like I'm trying to figure out because I really don't know what I'm going to do right now. You know what I mean? I don't know what it looks like out there. I've been here for 20 months, so I feel like there's going to be a lot of obstacles. But if you stay focused and always stay the course, I'll probably stay up this way. Just stay out of Utah County. I'm from Utah County. Probably just try to stay out of Utah County for a minute. So I feel safe enough to go back. Go ahead, Tyson.
So does it still get hard for you to be here at times? And if it does, what do you do now to get through it?
So yeah, it's like at any moment, any day, it's still a struggle. And one thing that I've really practiced on is just being grateful. Like I literally tell myself, you know what I mean? Okay, this is bad. Nobody cares what I think about the other place. You know what I mean? Nobody cares what happened to me in the other place. I really go to my gratefuls, and yeah, I check myself a lot. Go ahead.
So do you have a plan for your exit strategy out here? I don't think deciding to stay at third year or anything like that. So it's like, do you have an actual plan? Like if you get class, you talk about a plan, you can go out and just not get in trouble, right? Like you have a set plan, like you have plans, details about that plan, that keeps on very narrow. Going back to the old places, reverting back to the old lifestyle? Not really.
No. So the biggest thing is because we really can't call anywhere. We really can't look at anything. We can't really. You have to get a little bit closer. I'm supposed to stay in the present, right? So, but no, I really don't have a plan yet. I'm just trying to get to that point, next month. So I'll start really trying to work out it. Go ahead, James.
You say that you want to stay connected, right? Can you give us an idea of what that looks like? Any specifics on it? That's a broad horizon. So can you give us some ideas of what that may look like?
more than likely, I'll probably be over graduate housing for the first few months because I don't think there's anything for me to go back to in Utah County, so I'll probably just take advantage of that. I've considered, I don't know if they still let you do an extended workout here. That's a thought that goes through my head, you know what I mean, to stack some money. You know, if that's, I'd probably do that if they'll let me, you know, I'll just stay an extra month or two here and just work. But hopefully I'll be around right around here. Go ahead. Now.
Can you tell us a funny story from the moves, man? Like the time Zelly drug you down the whole staircase, like you're flying like Superman behind the dresser.
So I've had a lot of fun on these moves, like especially Zelly. I remember when Zelly's trying to hand me a washer, like he's over there holding it by himself and he's up on his truck and he's trying to hand it to me. And I'm just like, are you serious, dude? And I'm ready to do it. That same move, remember when they threw the mat on top of my head? Those rolling mats? Those, yeah. I was like, I'm not carrying that by myself. He threw it on my head. Boom. I guess I'm carrying it by myself. But what was Scott? Remember when I dropped the couch right in front of the lady? Like, boom. So yeah, like I've got, you know, I've had a lot of fun on these moves. Or Tyson, when I was trying to, he's got this mattress wedged up in the stair, and I'm just pounding it, trying to get it up the stairs. And he's just up there laughing at me. And I was like, what's going on? Help me. He can't stop laughing. Or been on a lot of move with Isaac. Remember that truck we packed where you guys probably all that cool. It was perfect. Yeah. And Frederick, I've been out there with him countless times, you know. Neil, I remember like one of your first moves. I thought you were gone, dude. I thought you was gonna split. You know what I mean? I was like, where's Neil at? You know what I mean? Looking around, he's out by the truck. I'm walking out there, Corey, what's wrong with this dude? I think he's gonna split. He's gonna kill Anthony. But you know, and like Sean, I've been on so many moves with Sean. Me and him carried a lot of stuff. You know, Jason, Justin, Ethan, like a lot of these guys on these moves. It's been cool. Toppy's always fun to go out with. He's hilarious. But yeah, that's kind of. I mean, what else, guys? Anything?
Thanks, Kevin. I have a funny story on a move with Kevin. It was me and Scott, and I can't remember who else, and we helped this old lady move in from one apartment to the other, and we're finishing up with her, and Kevin's standing behind us, and she's all, "Where's the little guy at?" And all I kept thinking about was he's one of the toughest guys out there. You know, like every time I feel tired, you know, I think of Kevin and how he just always pushes through, man. He's a tough guy. And I like how you mentioned we are a team, you know, and you're an integral part of that team. You have been for a couple of years now. You've been here almost. And I encourage you to keep doing that, you know, for us younger guys, because you've been a great leader. You know, you were a great crew lead, man. So I appreciate you sharing your story with us. Next one's Ethan. A lot of you know Ethan. Ethan was the first person that I saw and connected with when I got here. You know, Sean was my welcomer, but he was gone moving till 11 my first 2 days. So I didn't see him. I saw Ethan. Ethan was with me, you know, and he really made me feel welcomed into the house. You know, he was really kind, really, really patient, taught me a lot. And he's a big pillar to this house. And like Lucas said, you know, he's as tall as a pillar, you know, so he's been a great leader. He's one of the guys I go to here, you know, and I'm excited to hear his story. So give him a hand, guys.
What's up, guys? Okay, so where do I start? I'd say probably we'll go a little bit over my childhood real quick, man. I was born in Layton, well, born in Roy, but moved to Layton when I was young. You know, my two parents and I had one younger brother, and you know, I had a great life growing up. I had everything you could possibly want, right? You know, I didn't think ultimately that addiction would have been my future. You know, I did very well in school, and so I started homeschool when I was in elementary for a few years, bless you. I did homeschool and I did really well, and I found a passion for me was music. You know, my mom being a music teacher, and so I started very early. You know, I started playing the piano when I was 4, the cello when I was 8, the guitar when I was 10. You know, I've played drums. I mean, pretty much anything you can think of, I've dabbled a little bit. And that was always a passion that I carried on through my life. You know, as I went into junior high, I switched into public school, and I did not know who I was. You know, I was so socially awkward from being homeschooled, and I just had no friends, and I didn't know how to fit in. And so it was rough for me. And I still struggled to figure that out. And I think I carried a lot of that into my adult life and even into my life, you know, at Red Barn. As I went into high school, man, I started to find passion. You know, I was still doing music, but then I started taking classes in automotive, and that's when I realized. I was like, okay, this is something I could see myself doing. You know, I really like doing this. I took some classes with graphic design, and I really enjoyed that as well. And ultimately, I followed the path of automotive. You know, I did very well. I got scholarships to Weber State University and to Salt Lake Community College, and I started going into that, right. But at the same time, when I turned 16, you know, I started dabbling with substances. You know, and it was, and at first I thought it was just little bits here and there. You know, I won't go into too many details, but I ended up, you know, we never get away with anything, right? You know, we're obviously here, and so a couple run-ins with the law, and I ended up getting my license suspended. And so when I was at school for Weber State, going in the Toyota program for automotive, they told me, you know, you can do your generals, but you can't take this class right now. You know, you can't work in an auto shop without a license. And so, you know, I said, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't need any of what you guys have to offer. I'll do this myself, right? And so, you know how it goes. You know, you party, you hang around with the wrong people, and I watched my life spiral out real quick. You know, I started from the life of being very active, you know, with my family, being active in the church, having a strong, a lot of support around me, and I stepped away from that. You know, I chose. Ultimately, you know, a lot of us say, you know, I lost all of this due to addiction. I willingly chose my addiction. You know, I put everything away, and, you know, I chose to spiral out. And after a couple of years, man, I realized, like, this sucks. Addiction's lonely. Those people that we called friends were not your friends. They were not my friends. I hated it, man. And, you know, so I tried to get back, and, you know, between, you know, counselings and AAs and NA and all these different things, and none of it stuck, right? I ended up getting in trouble with the, you know, in the system, right? And, you know, I'd say, like, you know, I've always thought I've been terminally unique, right? With school, I got along very easy. You know, I could test very well. I got good grades. Like, a lot of it came naturally to me, and so I always thought I was the exception to everything. And I got lucky. I got a lot of breaks, you know, with the legal system. I ended up in the federal system when I was 21. And I remember looking at a lot of time, but the judge gave me a chance. You know, he said, you know, against my better judgment, I'm going to give you a chance out there. Don't come back in front of me again. But what did I do? You know, I thought I was different. I thought I was special, and I left with good intentions. But a month later, I was back doing the exact same thing that I ended up doing before, you know, and it's quickly spiraling between, man, you know, violations, back in, getting out, all of this. And, man, I remember at one point I heard about Red Barn. I was sitting there, and my lawyer came to see me. You know, I told him, I said, Bob, man, I want to do something different. You know, I want a program. He's like, well, you should go to the Red Barn Academy. I've heard it's really good, and I remember seeing flyers before. I was like, yeah, you're crazy, right? 2 years, I'm good. You know, I want to go to one of these 30-day programs. I think that's all I need. Then, okay, fine. You know, and so what did I do? I went to steps, and it did not work. You know, 30 days, I left with a false sense of confidence. I was like, man, I've got myself figured out. I know my higher power. That's all that's going to work for me. But man, it didn't. You know, I couldn't string together 90 days, you know, whether it be medicated assistance, like, you know, taking, you know, nicotine, right? And all these different things, man, I couldn't leave it all behind. I couldn't leave those old friends behind, those old girlfriends behind, you know, those old places, man, all of it. I wanted to cling to that life. You know, they kept telling me you only have to change one thing, that's everything. But I said, I'm going to pick and choose. I'm terminally unique. I can choose what I want. I'm going to make this work for me, just like I've done with everything my entire life. You know, loopholes. That was my big thing. I always tried to find a loophole. But man, what I've realized is there's no loophole in recovery. You have to give it your all. You have to change everything. You know, I went through steps and in and out, and then I got really good at manipulating my way through. You know, I figured out how to tell them exactly what they wanted to hear and pass everything. And I thought I was doing so good, but I was still doing the same thing, man. I was still using substances the entire time. You know, and I graduate, right? If you can even call it that. You know, I graduated their program, but I was worse off than I was before. You know, what did I do? You know, I celebrated, right? And ended up getting a bunch of new charges. Anyways, you know, I ended up in Davis County again. And I said, man, this sucks. Like, how is it like that I felt like I was making progress and then it was 2 steps back, but I never made progress, man. I look at it now and it's like, there was no win at all, right? All I did was I caused a lot of stress to the people around me, man. I put them through so much. And I look at it now and it sucks, right? But that motivates me now. You know, I use that pain that I caused everybody, and I use it to help propel me forward today. You know, I remember finally writing my letter, right? I was in there and I said, okay, I want to do something different. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get out of this. You know, because I wanted to get out of prison. You know, the judge has been like, man, we're sick of seeing you. We're done with you, right? You know, and I had all this new stuff and I was like, hey, anything I can do to get out of that, I'm willing to do. But deep down, man, I did want change. And so I remember Alan coming and interviewing me. A couple of you guys know Alan, our old program director. He lit me up, right? At first, the interview was going well and all of this, right? And, you know, I told him, yeah, and I only got in trouble because I hung around with the wrong people. And you know, he let me have it. He said, quit being a victim, right? You know, you chose this. And I realized, man, I am the problem. You know, I just remember like holding on to this identity that I thought I had, that I thought I knew. And he walked out and then he came back in the room and he said, if I accept you, cut your hair, right? Because I had long hair down to my shoulder blades. Isaac's seen it. I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, I'll do it. It took 9 months to get here. You know, between all the different court systems I was involved in, with the federal system. And, you know, ultimately what I realized is as I went through these different court dates, I didn't have to come. You know, they would just let me do a little bit of time, you know, and then go back on probation. But at that point, I had a couple months of clarity, right? And I realized, man, I'm going to go back and do the exact same thing I've always done. I'm going to get the exact same thing I've always got if I don't follow through with something drastic. If I don't do something I've never done before, I'm never going to experience something different. And so, you know, I asked to come here, you know, to talk about my time here, you know, my intern phase. A lot of people say their first 90 days is the hardest time. Honestly, that wasn't for me, man. The first 90 days, I remember sitting there in that cell, right? Like just wanting to eat some real food, right? To go see the mountains, to smell the fresh air, to actually see colors, and to be around better people. And so when I got here, I was like, man, I'm all in. Whatever you want to do, like, I'm about it, right? And so the intern phase wasn't that hard for me. I mean, what was hard though was learning to set boundaries. I was a doormat. I've been a doormat my entire life. You know, I didn't say anything when dumb things happened around me. I let people do whatever, and I let them treat me however. You know, I remember games with Isaac, moments with Isaac, getting hit in the face with a bag of clothing from MS and my glasses being broken and lighting you up, right? But learning that's how you set a boundary, right? Like learning to say, hey, don't act that way around me. And to do this with all these different people, you know, Anthony Z, right? Me and him, like that all the time. And what did they do? You know, they paired us together. They stuck us together every single day, made us work together and said, you guys are going to figure it out. And what I realized, like the key, like, you know, I'd read all this stuff in leadership and self-deception. We talk about, you know, if you want to get out of the box, you have to turn your chair around first. You know, you have to do something nice for the other person. And then I realized, man, when I actually did that, when I actually cleared his plate at dinner, when in our free time, went and, you know, we shot a game of pool. And we did these things, right? And even though the last thing I wanted to do was connect with him, it helped me to see him as a person, right? To see who he really was. And in turn, that helped me grow. But my intern phase, man, I skated through. I kind of ducked, I dodged. I didn't get a lot of hours. And you know, I remember going through my freshman phase, and it was still kind of the same way, man. I wasn't truly exhibiting like my behaviors. I thought I was doing like everything I was supposed to be doing, but I was playing small. You know, I thought because like I got a lot of responsibility as a freshman, you know, between being a barber and being in education and being the moving guy and then starting to help Brad with IT stuff. recording tasks. And I was like, I'll take on all the responsibility you guys can give me, right? And I thought that was the goal, right? And that's great. Get in as much as you can. But come here to do what you came here to get, man, which is exhibit those behaviors. And I realized when I was a resident, that's when it really hit me. That was my hardest phase. I thought I had it all figured out, and come to realize, man, I'm a super entitled individual. I still think I'm terminally unique, right? And a lot of hard moments led me to realize that I'm not. I've had a lot of cool opportunities here, in my resident phase, getting to do the welding class. That was something really cool. I remember here in this place had a welding trailer, and I asked Alan in my interview, I was like, oh, I heard you guys teach welding. He's like, yeah, you figure your stuff out first. He's like, we're not going to teach an addict how to weld. What are you going to go do? You're going to go back to the crack pipe and weld. I'm like, no, you need to learn how to be a better human first. All that stuff will come in time. You learn how to fix you, and then we'll teach you some skills. And that always stuck with me. And so I remember getting to do that class, and man, what an accomplishment it was for me, getting to pass my test and get certified. Things like I went to corporate development after about 9 months. Man, I love the moves. I was so happy to go on the moves, like the moving company. That's all I wanted to do at first. I wanted to be a crew lead, but I also wanted to go to corporate development. And so getting to do that, man, like that was super cool. Learning, that department's taught me so many new skills, right? Learning how to talk in front of people, how to present myself better. I remember being an intern, I hated seminar. So, oh man, I have to talk in front of everybody. It was rough for me. But then being in corporate development, learning how to talk to people, I think of probably 3 major moments throughout that made a difference. There was one, and I remember Justin was on this event. Let's see who else was here that went. We went to this thing for the Bronco tour, and we went to this sports expo. Frederick was there, and for 4 days straight, we went and told the story. There was 30,000 people in attendance, and all 4 days just back to back to back telling the story, and realizing, I can talk to people. I don't have to be, I don't have to use substances to have an interaction with somebody, right? That I can just be me for who I really am, and that helped me a lot. I think of, there was a time me and Mario went, and we had Ken Garth come in here, and we did a presentation up here, and having to present in front of 60 of their employees and all the Red Barn staff, and just moments like that, it was so uncomfortable. And then we went to Performance Automotive and presented it, about who we were and what we're doing here at Red Barn in front of about 200 of their employees. And then during the 5K, me, Corey Griffin, and Kevin Rill went on TV on Channel 4 on live television and talked. And after that, I realized, man, like public speaking isn't my biggest fear anymore. And my biggest fear is going back to that life before, going back to addiction, going back to that misery. That's my biggest fear today. Dealing with people, man, I love people. It's so cool. It's so fulfilling. That's one of the biggest things I've learned is helping somebody out. That's why I love our process here, man, that each one teach one, being able to give to somebody new, what was so freely given to me, because I've fallen in love with that feeling of change. I love giving it back to somebody else. And, going through leadership and learning these different skills, and then ultimately being a house manager, being able to make what I do about someone else has been so fulfilling. And it's the most selfish thing, but it's also so selfless, right? Because when I take my time and I give it to somebody else, in turn, it makes me a better person. And that's a lot of growth that I've gotten. It's taught me to use my voice. It's taught me to not just let things happen and go by and not say anything, which is, it's still a struggle today. But it's, man, like we talk about, are you going to let that person come to your door, and are you going to let them in and use your restroom? Are you going to, when that old acquaintance you knew asks for a ride, are you going to let them in your car? Or are you going to use the skills that you practice here and tell them, no, man, I'm doing something different? And today I think I would be able to, and that's an accomplishment. I think of one of the hardest moments I've had here, man, when I'd been here and I had just gotten my black shirt, and I'd gotten a whole bunch of hours for just doing whatever I wanted in corporate development, just hustling up whatever and all this, right? And then I go on ban with Brad, and they pull me out of the office, and they put me back on the moving company. And I don't know, like at first, man, it stung, but I've realized that life is not what we think it's going to be, man. We can make this grand plan of I'm going to do this and this and this, and I'm going to get here and here and here. But like you can set goals and you can get there, but at the end of the day, man, life's going to throw you a curveball. Life's going to hit you in the face. But what do you do after that, right? Are you going to be happy to do it? Are you going to adapt to your situations, or are you going to crumble? And one thing I've realized that, I'm going to make the best out of any situation that comes to me. I'm going to find the silver lining. Man, I loved going back out there and making new memories with guys that I hadn't really worked with much recently. Like it was so cool to go back out there. And then getting the opportunity to become a crew lead, that was huge for me. Because I remember more than anything being in that gray shirt, going on moves, working with DeVilo and Mason and W and Travis and Corey and all these other guys, thinking, I want that. And so want that for yourself, guys. That would say the biggest thing, man. I'd say always strive for more. Always push yourself to the next level. And the best way to get that is you go ask those guys in that position, how did you get to where you're at? I think of one of the biggest things that helped me was surrounding myself by winners. When I was in that office early on, I was around a whole bunch of staff members and graduates. I was around all 3 house managers. And instead of spending all my time around the people doing dumb stuff, getting caught up doing dumb things, watching TV, I hung around the people actually doing something, making a difference, helping save other people's lives. We talk about who you hang out with, the 9 people you surround yourself with, you're going to be that 10th. And that is so true today. So much I think of my growth and what I've gotten has been by being around guys like Corey, Travis, and Mario. So I'm forever grateful for that opportunity. I'd say another one of the big things that I've gotten from this place is being able to increase my bandwidth. Realizing that at any given moment, I think I'm giving my most, but there's always something more I can do. I can always do better in some aspect. I can always be more efficient somewhere. I can compartmentalize better. And this place has really helped me do that with all the different things that have gotten thrown on me, right? And all the different responsibilities, man. It's taught me to just adapt and go to the next level, right? You just keep pushing that level, and that's one thing this place has taught me. I would say another, man, is I'd say happiness and peace. For the first time in my life, man, for the first time in my adult life, I can visualize a life without substances. I can visualize that I can find happiness and peace, right? And I feel like, I look at where I was before, and then when I got arrested, and then at 9 months when I came here, and then from 18 months until now, I look at that and I'm like, man, all these different moments that I thought I was like, okay, this is cool, right? But finding that taste of happiness and peace, man, I want more of that, more than anything else. I want to experience that. The relationships that I'm building inside a Red Barn as well as outside, man, it's so fulfilling. I want that for everybody else. And so I'd say that the 3 best decisions I've made as an adult life was firstly coming to Red Barn, making the decision to do something different with my life, to stop trying to find the easy way out and make the hard commitment. The second one would be to stay. When those times got tough and I had those hard moments, how am I going to stay? What am I going to do? And making that decision that no matter what, I'm going to complete this program. I'm going to see who I can be on the other side. And then the 3rd best decision I made was writing my letter to commit to stay a 3rd year. Because for the first time in my life, I'm going to make a decision to build on my future, man. Instead of to try to take the easy way out and to go get those things that I think I want in the moment, I'm gonna make an investment in myself. And so that's where I'm at today. Questions?
Again, it's almost same question that I asked Kevin. What is any knowledge that you can share with us, being here to help us stay?
The best thing I would say is to surround yourself around winners. To pick the brains of your leaders. Man, I think about when I was an intern and I had all these different leaders, right? When Jeffrey was my tribe leader, And then, he went to a house manager, and I had these different relationships I built with all these different leaders, and not just my leaders, but other leaders. And I went to as many different people as I could. I would pick this guy's brain and this guy's and this guy and this guy, and I'd check in with as many different of these guys that I could connect with. I'd say, like, if you don't connect well with your leaders, that's okay, man. Make sure you pass your information. Make sure you go to them. They might give you something you don't know. But if you connect well with another leader, man, go get that from them. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Get as much as you can out of this place. Whether it be from all the different leaders around here, from all the different opportunities. Man, try to do as much as you can while you're here. Take advantage of your time. Jared.
Ethan, I got that. So have you thought about being a motivational speaker at all? It's like your story is extremely motivating and it fuels me to want to do better.
I've never considered that, but thank you. That's cool. I never would have thought that. So, Isaac.
What was your biggest tool when you were going through those hard times you talked about to help you get over that one? Because it's easy to say, hey, I was able to get over it, right? Find these different things. But in those moments, like what were your tools, man? Especially for the younger guys to hear when they have these moments. Like what worked for you, maybe it would work for them. What was that?
So I'd say, I remember finding out some information of someone close to me who's no longer here. And it hurt, man. Like, and at the time I was on band with my mentor, right? With the person closest to me, and I couldn't talk to him. And I just wanted to shut down and just be by myself and just go through it. And what I had to do was go to all these other people. I had people like Isaac come up to me and say, like, I see what you're going through. Like, you need to open up to somebody. Travis coming and pulling me aside, telling me the same thing, going and checking in with Azeli and Chandler, and realizing that I don't have to do this alone. That's the biggest thing I would say is that only you alone can do it, but you can't do it alone. You need a lot of good people in your corner, a lot of good people to help you through, because it's easy when the times are tough, right, to get through it. But when you're going through it, man, it's like a conscious choice to say, am I going to continue, at least for me, am I going to continue to sit in this misery, or am I going to make that first step, that uncomfortable step into finding something different? Yeah, self-care, that's another big thing. You find your self-care routine and you make your routine of whatever you're going to do when you're doing well, right? And so then that way, when the hard times come, because trust me, they will come, you keep doing those same things, right? Whatever it is that you do, you maintain that. And so, if you don't connect with people and have those conversations when you're doing well, man, guaranteed you're not going to have those conversations when you're going through it. And so practice it now. Does that answer your question? Any others? Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ethan. I remember I got to be a part of that Ken Garf tour and seeing how you stood out, man. Like you motivate me to want to do better and be my best, and to say, you are who you surround yourself with, it doesn't just say to me, like, put yourself around people that inspire you, but also be that person that you would want to be around, right? Like, be that person that inspires others and somebody you would want to spend your time with, man. I'm super grateful to call you my friend, and I'm super glad that you're going to stay a third year. And let's give these guys another hand. And that's Task Talk.